Inauya Zimbabwe, inauya. Yeah, yazoka. Inauya Zimbabwe, inauya.
As the leadership, we've had a briefing, had a meeting, and we are going to issue a statement. The President will lead us in that process. We'll allow you to ask a few questions after he's done, if you have questions of clarification. But he's going to explain our position on the way forward. Thank you, Mr. President, and the President General.
Well, thank you, members of the press. Thank you, leadership here present, members of the National Executive, and members of the National Standing Committee. It is very sad that we've had to be addressing this press conference under very difficult circumstances. As you are aware, as you may be aware, we had penciled this day, a very important day, as a Free Zimbabwe March Day, which is in line with exercising our democratic right as a movement and also as a people to say we have a constitutional right to demonstrate, we have a constitutional right in terms of Section 59 to express ourselves. Not only is it a right to express ourselves, it is also a constitutional authority because all power is derived from the people in terms of our constitutional dispensation. So Section 88, Executive Authority, resides with the people. Section 117, Parliamentary Authority, also resides with the people. So any organ, any office is as a creature and as a result of the authority of the people. So we're exercising our right as the constitutional authors of our constitutional order. And we had to inform the police. What we did was to inform the police in broad daylight, almost 2 weeks ahead of time, to say who would want to demonstrate, because we felt we needed to exercise our constitutional right in line with what is required of us by the law. Unfortunately, the police did not indicate to us that they had problems with our application. In fact, they cooperated with our team that was organizing. Until last night, when they invited our team to advise that they had a prohibition order, which in itself is unconstitutional because it does not arise. In fact, courts have already pronounced themselves on that matter, and that makes it very difficult for us to understand why, again, the court did not confirm that position when the matter was taken to court this morning. So what is clear is that we have seen scenes and circumstances of extreme brutality by the police, especially against the ordinary people, the citizens, some of whom we intended to actually address and advise on the latest development. But we're not given that opportunity because they did not allow people to congregate. They wouldn't want people to assemble. In fact, our organizing department in the morning, we're trying to get people to come together, but they were not permitted because we wanted to have an opportunity to give people the way forward in the direction in terms of the next course of action. So you have seen, and I'm sure you have heard what has happened, that we've had over 80 people arrested, 20 in Kampuzuma, about 20 at Coca-Cola Corner, then about 15 St. Mary's. We also had about 20 from Norton, but the number is still increasing because we are recording the information as it is coming. We've also received reports of some 7 serious assaults, particularly on account of brutality of the police, especially in the city center. We also heard of journalists who was assaulted, journalists who were also abused on account of the tear gas. I'm sure you hear testimony. Of those cases that were recorded, one of them is very severe, a woman whose circumstances we are not very clear about because she was severely assaulted, and we don't know if she's still okay because she was taken by the police through Red Cross, and we're here to ascertain her condition. We've also received cases of abductions since Tuesday. In fact, 10 of them were recorded on Tuesday, 4 on Wednesday, then 4 last night, making it a total of about 18. That tells you the magnitude of the challenges that we are facing, particularly when one looks at the police brutality So that is the situation. Of course, the police banned our demonstration. What is clear is that it's turning out that the regime in Harare is far worse than the Mugabe regime. One would be persuaded to think that Mugabe is back, but you then realize that this is not Mugabe even at his best. Mugabe has become a toddler when it comes to the kind of brutality that we are seeing. This, in terms of just the magnitude of abuse and heavy-handedness, tells you that it's a big problem. In fact, we've seen that the police had new vehicles, they had new uniforms, they had new equipment, meaning to say that they have money to buy uniforms for police to brutalize people, but they don't have money to get us out of the electricity blackout. People spend hours in darkness. People spend hours in queues for basic commodities like bread, but you would find that the police, in their own actions, are showing that they are not consistent with the situation that Zimbabweans are going through. I would want to say that I think it's clear to all of us that Zimbabwe is not open for democracy. Zimbabwe is not open for justice. Zimbabwe is not open for constitutionalism and rule of law. And more importantly, Zimbabwe is not open for business. It's so clear, it is known, not only to have an illegitimate regime in this country, we have a rogue regime, because you can't have a constitutional order where a government chooses to deploy armed people against its own civilians, who had actually applied, because in terms of our approach, we just wanted to have a peaceful march. We didn't want to have any problem, but to express the legitimate grievances that we have said the people of Zimbabwe have. Thank you. I think if you have any questions, we can then address them.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take 2 or 3 questions at a time, but we just want questions of clarifications, and then we'll move. I'll start with you.
Okay, the demonstration has been banned. What's the way forward as of now?
Okay.
Can I answer that first? Yes, our way forward is very clear. We are clear that this is a long winter of discontent, a long winter of expression of ourselves. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be instant coffee. It's not going to be easy, because it's a struggle. But it's a people's struggle which has to be peaceful, which has to be constitutional, which has to be legal. And we are going to pursue every avenue. There is not going to be any rest until the people of Zimbabwe achieve a people's government. A people's government is only going to be a creature of a settlement that has to come through comprehensive reforms, through a transitional mechanism, through understanding that the roadmap that we have put on the table is followed. So yes, you are going to see more of the action, peaceful action in other cities, more of the action in Harare. In fact, this is not the end, it's the beginning. What you are seeing is just but a teaser. This is an introduction. We are going to be on the streets until the state responds to the street. Because hunger is on the street and not in the state. Poverty is on the street, not in the state. And we want to activate the streets until the resolution of the issues is achieved. A lot of people think that the crisis in Zimbabwe is an economic crisis. Far from it. It's a political crisis. Fix the politics in order to fix the economy. You can't fix the economy by asking for a few millions from ESCOM as a loan. That's not the answer. The fundamental question in Zimbabwe is the question of stolen elections, legitimacy, non-performing government, compounded by incompetence and corruption. That is what we must address. But how do we address that? We address that through political dialogue that has to be embarked upon, which is credible. And that is our option that we put on the table. So yes, you must know that people of Zimbabwe have the right to organize themselves, and they will continue to do so.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. There was a hand at the back.
Yeah, my name is Ari Goldstein. I represent the State of the Nation. Mr. Chamisa, I would like to ask you one question. Do you really acknowledge the problem that this country has in terms, besides governance and everything else, is I'm talking about the foreign policy of this nation vis-a-vis the foreign policy of other nations like America, Britain, and so forth. Whereby, for example, America said Zimbabwe is a threat to its security or its foreign policy. And my understanding is because everything that we are quarreling right here and the issues which are happening in the street, as a journalist and as an engineer, is based on the land reform. Do you acknowledge that the land reform is the right thing that the government did?
Well, I must answer you. Perhaps you have been too ideological, but I'll try to address your ideological issues. As far as we are concerned, we feel that the crisis in Zimbabwe is a crisis of governance. When you have a government that sets its police against citizens, that's a crisis. When you have a government that cannot understand that its citizens have the right to demonstrate, that's a crisis.
But for example, France, Macron, let's got some brutal issues going on in Europe, in the heart of Europe. Sure. France, for example, Paris actually, when the yellow vests were being brutalized by the police. And should we classify that as an issue to do with the crisis of governance?
It is a crisis of governance as far as we are concerned. Once we fix our crisis of governance in this country, we'll be able to deal with other issues that have to be dealt with. How we relate with other countries is a fundamental issue. It goes back to how we also relate in our own country. We are not in the business of speaking on behalf of the United States of America. We can only speak on behalf of ourselves and our stomachs. And our stomachs...
Sorry, can you allow the president to talk?
And the president...
Sorry, can you allow him to explain himself?
Yesterday, he actually
Which president?
The president of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
Who is that?
Sorry, can for this press conference to be orderly, the president be allowed to express himself?
Thank you, my brother. We give you the right to all the responses. But when you come with an ideological perspective of a political party, we then have to address you aside. And we'll give you time. We can engage on those discourses. For now, we want to give direction on those who want to hear. I've told you that the crisis is a crisis of governance. If you feel otherwise, we can have that engagement at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, another question?
Well, the protests are going on. We have notified the police. You know, we are not a Nicodemus organization. We are not an underground movement. We are a constitutional organ. The party that won the elections on July the 31st. So we do our things in a constitutional manner. That's why we don't play hide and seek. We advise the police in broad daylight, but they chose to respond to us at midnight. Just like we had participated in the elections in broad daylight, but they announced the elections at midnight. So we now understand that there's bad faith on the part of government, on the part of Mr. Mnangagwa. Whenever we do things according to the law, they obviously do not treat us as such. That's why we must review our strategy. And that's why today we didn't want to risk people's lives by continuing to be confrontational. Because if we had chosen to be confrontational, there would be blood in the streets. But we don't want to walk on dead bodies to the resolution of our crisis. We can resolve our crisis through peace, and that is what we pursue. We are not anarchists, we are not blood mongers like our colleagues. So we don't want any life to be lost. And that's not stupidity.
Thank you, Excellency. Just one or two more questions. I'll check this one and this one.
I just want to understand, in light of the court ruling, what is the next step?
We have multiple million steps to take. You know that throughout history, a people determined to liberate themselves cannot be defeated. So we are very clear in terms of the direction that we are taking. We are very clear in terms of the next course of action. We will continue to mobilize. But what you are going to see is a mutation of our strategy. Because when we are facing a confrontational regime, we must also use tactics that are going to be above them. They can't be above the people. They can't defeat the people. Smith tried it and was defeated. Mugabe tried it and was defeated. Mnangagwa is trying it, he will be defeated.
Thank you, Excellency. Last question.
Okay, my name is Fanny Mapumo from the Morning Post. I want to ask the position that the party is going to take, given that the people that were beaten today are helpless Zimbabweans who don't afford any legal fees, who don't afford medical bills. I'm one of the people who were beaten today.
Sure.
I'm the victim of police brutality.
I'm sorry for now. I was told that you were beaten up, you were assaulted as a journalist.
But I want to, on behalf of the people of Zimbabwe who are poor, who don't afford medical bills, what is the party going to do about it?
Thank you very much, Fanny. I mean, I must also debunk this myth. It's very misbegotten and misplaced. The struggle is not a party struggle. The struggle is a people's struggle. It is the people of Zimbabwe who are ultimately the donors and sponsors of this struggle. A lot of people want to lie, this struggle is sponsored by America, by Europe. The sponsors of this struggle are empty stomachs. Our people are moved by their own stomachs and their consciences, because we must do something for our country to make sure that we are democratic, to make sure that we are progressive, to make sure that we are prosperous. So this whole thing of thinking that the party is an independent institution, we are not. The party is a vehicle of the people. So you can't talk of the party without the people, or the people without the party. The people are going to manifest their expressions through this organization because it's a people's party. So don't worry about what you are going to do. As a people, with mechanisms of self-financing, of making sure that we deal with such issues, medically, legally, we will always find ways of doing that. We've done it before. During the liberation struggle, it was done. Our democratic struggle, we've always funded our struggle. So forget about this myth of outsiders or foreigners inciting us to do things. I don't want anybody to incite me to know that there's a blackout of electricity, that I've had 18 hours of darkness. Why do I need an American to come and tell me that there's a queue of fuel? I'm not that stupid. Do you want citizens to be told that there is no fuel by Americans? These are problems we have. Do we need Americans to tell us that elections have been stolen? We voted, it's not Americans who voted. So don't try to outsource the problem of Zimbabwe. It is our problem as a people. We must resolve it face to face. Mnangagwa, be serious about the people. You did not win the election. Respect the people. Listen to the one who was voted for by the people. Then we can move together. This whole thing of moving around and saying there's global re-engagement, if you can't re-engage the winners of the election, you will not go anywhere. And that's what we have said. He must be sober. Let him sober up and listen to the people. Because no dictator will ever win against the people. He will not be the first one, and definitely is not going to make history.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for coming. In terms of the way forward, as you've heard, we'll continue to brief you, but we are continuing. We are not shutting down, we are continuing. So we are not breaking down.
In fact, I must say, we had planned for demonstrations today, but we want to thank the police for giving us a stay away. We didn't want to stay away. They did very well, and we must really thank them, at least for once. They went out of their way to shut down. We didn't want a shutdown. We wanted a demonstration, then we moved to the next stage. Our struggle is very clear. We know our objective. Don't worry. A lot of people think that it's instant coffee, it must be a walk in the park. No, we are very clear of the objective. A people's government that is legitimate. That is the end game. We want to resolve the crisis of legitimacy, but we also want a government that responds to the grievances of the people. That will come as a result of this protracted, incessant, persistent, peaceful action by the people of Zimbabwe. Because nobody can ever defeat the people in an idea whose time has come.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. Can you